Hey everyone, today we're going to be doing a tier list for Tiny Animal War legendary heroes. So this is mainly based off arena standings from the top players, along with a couple of other things. There are some useful heroes that aren't legendaries, but we are not going to be including them in this list as the list is very short. It's pretty much singularly Ibisu, which has the power to give extra coins. So we're just going to start with all of these legendary heroes here. So the first one right here is Drake. He's pretty good. He's got decent ability against boss, but overall, he just does not perform as well as some of the other heroes, especially in arena. This next one right here, we're gonna have Ivan. Ivan actually has something that makes him have pretty much infinite potential. I feel like he could be an SS hero. He just has not been used enough. I almost want to put him in not enough information at this time, but I am going to have to put him in A tier along with Drake, as although he has an ability that makes it so other heroes can't use their abilities. It is very limited. You do have to kill a lot of enemies first, and since he is a melee unit, it is very hard for him to actually reach that point where he becomes as effective without dying. The next one up is Kronos. So I looked at the top 30 in server 1 arena standings. Kronos showed up once. I used it. I am very partial to Kronos. I would like to put it in SS tier. However, it is going to go in S tier as it was only used by me, literally no one else. Overall, in defense, it stands up not so well, which is a little bit why I'm knocking it down. But in offense, it is insane. Based on its placement, you can pretty much always win. But due to that fact, it also has the downside that you always lose on offense as long as the enemy knows where to place their heroes. Next up is Apollo. It is going to go again in the S tier along with Kronos, mainly for its usage against bosses. In PvP, it's just not good. However, in the top 30, it was used 7 times. That is way more than almost any other hero, and it makes it the most used hero, tied with Jinsook. However, it was not used once inside of the top 20. Between the 20 and 30th spot, it was used 7 times, meaning although it is a great hero, it can do good in PvP, it will not push you up the final bit that is necessary. Right here, we have Poseidon. He's an okay hero. He's really not going to do much. He goes right to the enemy's back line, just like Phoenix does, but he dies. Phoenix revives itself, it comes back, it's a great hero. He just goes there, does a little bit of damage right off the bat, and then dies. Not very good. Azrael, I'm going to have to put in not enough information at this time. It is very hard to get enough shards to actually use Azrael. He's only obtainable from the arena, and therefore nobody really has him at a high enough level to be able to really determine how good he is. There are some high level ones. I have fought him in arena. Kronos wrecks him, but again, I have a level 20 Kronos and it's beating like a level 15 Azrael. It's just not a fair fight. I don't think there's enough information to judge him at this time, and his last ability is kind of good. It does percentage damage the entire battle to all of the enemies. So it has it has good potential to do well, but I just don't think he's been used enough. And because of that, I'm also going to throw Arthur up here. He's actually just as hard to get. He's only obtainable from the Hero Trials game mode. So again, there's not really enough information. If I had to rate him, I would put him in A tier, probably. He's really good early game against bosses because of his buffs, especially when paired with Gibbon's other units, and he has healing for all units that are Forger. But due to his level, we're not really sure how he ranks overall in PvP. I am just going to have to put him down here just due to how hard he is to get. Nobody's really had time to test him. Now, the Flying Tiger, it's a great hero in theory, but it kind of has the same problem that Poseidon does, where it just goes into the enemy backlines and dies. It doesn't do much. It's just not good. It's going in B tier. Luna is going to be our first SS. The thing about Luna is that she isn't that good until you reach like close to end game. However, Luna was used 4 times in the top 30, and 3 of those were within the top 5. Therefore, I'm gonna have to put Luna at SS. It is used by almost all the best players in the game. It's really just an insane hero, but I do have to caution, before it gets high leveled and before you have good troops to support it, it is not the best hero. Anywhere early game, it's gonna be B tier, it's gonna be A tier. It's not super good, but once you hit late game, Luna is the hero you want. Next, we're moving on to Hercules. He's decent. He has a good charge attack, but again, he doesn't have anything to keep him alive. That is the problem with most melee heroes. And honestly, the only melee hero that actually manages to stay alive is Kronos, and that's because it has its revive ability. Without its revive ability, it would be down here with all the other melee heroes. Now, Wukong is an exception to that. It is going up here in S tier. He has an ability that just absolutely makes it so he takes almost no damage at all whatsoever. It's completely insane. It is so good. The only reason he's not SS tier is because these other heroes are just consistently beating him. He's losing to Kronos, he's losing to Jinsook, he's losing to Zeus, he's losing to Xion. He's losing to all of them. He used to be SS tier, but he's gotten knocked down. He's starting to lose. This next one is Pythia. There's really not much to say about this hero. They are ranged, so they don't die as soon as others, but their abilities just aren't good enough to support putting them up to S tier. So I'm going to have to put them in low A tier. They're not as bad as these melee heroes that tend to die early, but they are definitely not as good as any of the heroes in S tier. This next hero we have here, Jinsook, easily the best hero for mid game, which does not take that long to hit. Once you have this guy at level 11, he is an absolute beast. He has a chance to dodge any attacks, which is arguably what makes him better than Wukong down here. He doesn't take the damage. Wukong still takes the damage, it's just reduced, and he does have an immunity that makes him good as well. But Jinsook can just dodge damage straight up. He can sit on a Phoenix, he can do whatever, and his actual damage output is also insane. I would say before you hit him to level 11, he's not terrible, but before level 11, he'd be down somewhere, probably A, maybe low S tier, but he is still incredibly powerful, and once you get him to level 11, he will be the best hero due to him teleporting around, impossible to pin down, very hard to counter. Kronos can sometimes do it with lucky hits. Xion can do it with its freeze ability, but other than that, it is very hard to pin down Jinsook. Zeus is going straight to SS tier. It was used only 3 times throughout the top 30. However, this hero just has so much possibility, and I want to put it, I would say it could go into not enough information at this time, as I can't really rank it between S and SS, but from what I've seen, it can one-shot a Jinsook, it can go straight through Kronos, first life and second life, leaving only their troops. It is an insane hero. And the thing about it, although it was only used 3 times in the top 30, none of them were level 20, including one that made the top 10 at only a level 13 hero. That is the lowest hero within the top 30 whatsoever. Easily an SS tier hero, in my opinion. Plus, with the new gold mode, he's extremely valuable. Top players have been using him to get incredibly far. I believe Joe, who's currently in first with about, 50, I think he might have gotten over 50, used Zeus to go all that way. This next one right here, These two are kind of the same. They're just more heroes that are just hard to obtain. This one comes from guilds and this one comes from raid bosses. Just nobody has them. Like maybe the top players because you get like 20 shards or something, but nobody uses them. Nobody has them. They're just not used enough to really be determined. They're more That's really what all these heroes down here are. I Again, these two have good abilities, but I've never even seen these two used at all whatsoever anywhere. And pretty much no one has. Here, Shion, I was told when I asked around for people's opinions, Shion was an old SS tier. I've been told that it could still be an SS tier, however, there is one major problem with it. Shion is incredibly inconsistent. Its ability can be insanely devastating if it hits the enemy hero, but if it doesn't, Shion just gets wiped very fast. It's incredibly good, it hits incredibly hard, but I just do not think it can be justified to put it into SS due to its inconsistency. Next up, we're going to have Phoenix. This is again one of those heroes that was honestly SS tier a while ago, but thanks to the new emerging meta of Zeus, Jinsook, it's not staying. It's just easily destroyed by Jinsook. Jinsook's able to literally sit on it and just destroy it as time goes on. Literally nothing. It used to be a really good hero, but it's just so overused in the top ranks of Arena that people started to figure out, and in this Arena season, only 3 people used it. Obviously, this is a new hero, Daji. It can't be ranked. Well, looking at its skills, it has the ability to be a really good hero. It has this new thing that hasn't been used by any other hero where it can turn troops to your side, which could be a really interesting feature. It has damage debuff, it has damage buff, attack speed buff as well. It can possibly be a new SS tier hero. I've heard a lot of people say, moderators in the Discord, bunch of people saying that this hero has a ton of potential, but it literally came out yesterday. So at this time, we're just not going to be able to rank it. Honestly, I feel like it's honestly the only one we can't rank, as these two would definitely go B, and Arthur's at least an A, as same with Azrael. But again, these heroes are just so hard to obtain that I really just don't think there's enough information on them at this time. So finally, we're gonna end off with Dracula. He's not bad. The problem is, he's not good either. He dies so fast. He's like these melee heroes, except the fact is when he dies, he does get a respawn like Kronos. However, he does not do enough to be worth it. Is he only damages troops that are near him with his ability when he dies, so if anything's not near him, he's really just not going to be super useful, and overall, he's just going to be kind of low tier. He could definitely have potential to be better in the future, but as far as he's been used so far, the only thing he's really been good at is during the race PvP. He's been put into teams as a troll unit. He kind of can, like, if you put him at the front next to an opponent's Jinsook, he can kill them right off the bat, leaving them down a really strong hero. But again, you are sacrificing one hero of your own to include him on your team, so it really just is not worth it. That's going to be all. I believe we will update the tier list later, mainly to put Daji in. Again, these heroes, all of them are decent, but none of them really are justified enough. They haven't been played enough to really been truly put into the tier list. Now, I could say A or B tier for most of these. I would not put any of them at S except again possibly Azrael, and then again Daji has so much potential. We will be changing this tier list later once we have a little bit information, but for now it is just too new to tell. Thank you and have a good night.